All right, let me start over here. And welcome back to the TV show. I'm Jay Black, joined as always by Angelo Cataldi and Rhea Hughes. How are you guys?
Great. Awesome.
Great.
Good to hear. I'm sure you're excited because, last week we were at 180th in Canada, and I texted you big news that we are currently, and this is a big deal, guys, 174th in Canada. We've moved up, guys. This is
I believe that we should gear more and more of our conversation to our Canadian viewers.
That's right, eh?
We're doing a lot better there than in the U.S.
That's right. I don't know what's going on. What's happening about us in Canada? See, I'm making us better in Canada. We also got a 5-star review on the podcast app on iTunes. A great podcast to find your next show, but just tell us what's service to use. They said that.
Gotcha.
We're talking
Yes.
about it.
That's great. We will do that.
Yeah.
It's a very good point. Yep.
Good advice.
All right. So speaking of good advice, I have good advice for everybody. And I don't know if you guys did this, but I went out, I was at Best Buy, and on sale, they had an HD antenna for my TV. It was $10. And I on an impulse, I bought it because, I'm a cord cutter and football season is happening. And I always have to track down football. So I was like, well, let me just put this on. I attached it to my Roku TV. It not only found all of the broadcast stuff, the 3, 6, 10, 29, it also put in all the free channels that you get over the internet. So when I go to live TV, I have 150 channels plus music. That's all 100% for free. That was just sitting there. It was 7 years now. I never went out and got an HD antenna, but I did it. I cannot recommend this highly enough. I mean, I know you guys are not cord cutters like me, but if you are,
to me, I'm retiring in 3 months from the job that pays me, not this job.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, Jay, I need to cord cut, but you still got to pay for HBO and Peacock and all those. How do you decide what to get? Do you have them all?
I have them all. I mean, I don't have Showtime. I don't have Showtime.
I don't have that either.
And I don't know how much it costs.
Well, Ange, and I will tell you, this thing does work. And I thank God you kind of emailed this, Jay, because I actually have them in my house for one simple reason. Not this past season, previous season, when we were not allowed to go to games. I have a core group of friends that I go to Eagles games with and I watch them with. And we were just so devastated we couldn't watch games together or be inside. So I said, I have an idea. I got a nice big yard here in South Philly. I said, I'm going to try one of these HD things. I got a TV. We'll drag it out. We'll put it up. And so we can spread out. And I only invited 6 people. We spread out and we watched the games. And I had it 20 feet from my house. Game came in perfectly. So I want to cut the cord, Jay. I have one. It's in my basement. And I think it cost me $11.
Yeah.
Wow.
You can get them. You can get them that you can get powered ones that are more expensive if you live far away from Philadelphia and the broadcast towers. But if you're close enough, mine's $10. It's not powered. I'm 20 miles from Philly. It works fantastically. And Angelo, I figured it out. I'm paying less for all of my bundles plus the internet, and now that with the HD antenna, than I ever paid for cable. It's
I'm so on this. You're going to be communicating to me privately on how I could save this money because I'm going to be really soon.
Just order it on Amazon. I ordered it on Amazon. It came the next day.
And you don't stick it on your roof or anything, right?
No. You stick it. You don't put it in a drawer, but you connect it to your TV. And as long as now, Jay, it has to be a smart TV, correct?
Right. It has to have HD capabilities, and it runs so long as you have an HD TV, you just you buy it and you run it to the cable part of your HTV, just like HDTV, like you just would with your cable. And the good thing about this is it's digital. So it's not like the old days, like when you had an antenna and you would kind of get a channel in.
No, it's clear as a bell.
Right. So it's either you either have it or you don't. So if you don't have the channel,
answer my question. Where should I stick it?
You plug it into the TV.
Okay.
Right. You just put
it. You guys up. If you don't want the joke, what can I
do? Well, Angela, I believe you've been in Philadelphia long enough to know exactly where to stick it.
Yeah, that's
So yeah, that's a little tip if you're looking to cord cut. I never really even explored it, but it is
phenomenal.
a big money saver. $10, you never have to pay for cable again. It's wonderful. Okay, so Rhea, British TV. This has proved to be a very popular segment. I got 2 tweets about this, compared to 0 for everything else we've talked about. So for me, this is the most popular thing that we have.
Cool.
And they, a lot of it with this guy, DK Stout, who is my Twitter follower, my one Twitter follower. He said that you were absolutely right that Manhunter, right? Was it Manhunt was fantastic. Loved Manhunt. So that was a great recommendation. What do you got for us this week?
All right, so this is called Code of a Killer. It's on Amazon Prime. Now I will tell you, it's one of those things that Amazon Prime is doing now where you do have to pay for it, but I think it's like, I know it's not. Now when I first watched it a year ago, it was free. Like a friend of mine, I recommend it. So just a heads up, it's one of those things now. Amazon, I don't really know the cost. I'll find that out. But you do have to pay for it. But it's called Code of a Killer. It is only 3 episodes. It is basically, we all watch all crime shows and we're all DNA. You got the DNA, you got the killer. Right. This is the first time DNA fingerprinting was ever used in a murder. It was a murder and a rape case that they were unable to solve in England. The guy who found it, his name, Professor Alec Jeffreys, he was using it for paternity cases and immigration cases. The detective who they had a semen sample, but they didn't have the killer. So he read about it in a story in the newspaper. So he went to him and said, could we use this to find like a specific person? They wound up testing 5,000 people. So it goes through the whole case. It's really the guy in it, the guy who's the
wait, Rhea, is it 5,000 semen samples that they have to gather?
Blood, because it's
blood. Oh, okay.
DNA is basically any living thing you have on your body, which is blood, semen, skin. They can test it through all that. The killer, they had semen samples from him, unfortunately. But the guy who plays it is John Sims, who people probably know from Doctor Who. He's in a show that I'm going to preview later called Grace. Really good, but it basically goes through the infancy. This was so important. It was the most important discovery since the fingerprint in terms of being able to use science to find a killer. And he was actually knighted by the Queen for it. But it was, I want to say early 80s, so it does look dated, but it's meant to be that. But only 3 episodes. It does start a little slow, but to watch how DNA is first used and the how people were distrustful of it because they believed the police were going to use their blood to test if they were drunk or they were on drugs and all that kind of stuff. But they did and how they knew getting samples from 5,000 people, all the different ways that it was going to go. They kind of knew how it happened. So I don't want to give away how it happened, but they do wind up finding it. And it's only 3 episodes, but it's all of the shows we watch that are based on DNA. This was how it began.
This is where it starts. And you know what it reminds me of? I'm thinking about, was that Michael that in the background?
Oh, yes. Sorry. That's my brother. Yes. Sorry.
Your brother just popped in the background. The show that I think of when you talk about this, and this is one I think we talked about, Angelo, on the air, is I think the American audience was introduced to DNA sampling during the O.J. Simpson trial. That's the first I remember hearing of it. And I think it was, what was the name? Was it just the O.J. trial? What was the name of the TV show that they did on FX about that?
Oh,
you remember that?
It was the trial.
Was that the one with John Travolta?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was, that was underrated. It was
very much underrated.
Very good.
They had some real big names in it. And I loved the story originally, following it, on the air in 1995, I guess it was when it happened. And the DNA there, that's how we were all introduced to it.
I think so. In America,
the DNA guys into the courtroom and showed them how they use it and stuff. So it is fascinating.
Well, they were only, they were only going to use this. The guy only had to use it. They were using it for paternity tests. It was like, who's the famous TV host that does, yes, Maury Povich.
Father.
So, it was God, we wouldn't have Maury Povich without DNA fingerprint.
So this is the genesis of Maury Povich.
I'm starting to worry about Rhea. I've worked with her all these years. Every week she's got some bloody British
Yeah.
show.
No, but there's no, but
I
that's,
know
see, that's
it's
a,
bother. Rhea, how about something a little lighter? My God, every week we got microscopes and sperm and blood, and we're trying
but
to
I
find
do
it.
that. I do that in the teenage segment, which I have a great thing, but I have all, it's, you know, Angie, it's what I read. I read murder mysteries. I'm
Right.
fascinated with it. Like, yeah, my stepdad, you know, was an investigator. It's probably where I got it from, but I'm fascinated with, I like to solve puzzles. And the shows that I give you are how these police departments go about solving a puzzle, which is basically is.
Well, Jake, while we're on the British thing, I would
Yeah.
like to contribute something. I'm not
Sure.
really an expert like Rhea is, but I did some work this week on British women, because
On British women.
I had done a thing about Kate Beckinsale.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
how awesome I think she is. And I think the most underrated women in the globe are British women, right?
Yeah.
They
Sure.
are always seen as, oh, please, they're not that attractive. Emily Blunt, not bad.
Oh,
Elizabeth Hurley,
Holy.
Felicity Jones, and my all-time favorite, Ruth Wilson from The Affair.
Ruth Wilson.
Ruth Wilson is,
Let me look that up.
you don't even know who it is, the redhead.
is she a redhead? She's a redhead. I knew she was a redhead.
And how about the all-time most
Oh, wow.
beautiful woman on TV or movies, Audrey Hepburn, all
yeah.
British and all spectacular. Thank you. That's all
And
I got.
I just need to say the accent adds a point and a half.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
You should Rhea thinks the same thing on the guy side, right? You
Well,
love it.
I do. You know, yes.
She loves
And
it.
again, this is one of these cases. Watch the show with the closed captioning on.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Just once I want to hear somebody go like, oh, that American South Jersey accent, super hot. Never happened once in the history.
No.
No.
Like some Australian girl, like, and you'll never believe it. He has a South Jersey accent. The way he rolls his nose, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So you were talking about your teenage segment, and and this brings up a larger issue that we wanted to talk about. Your show that you've been watching with Clark is what?
It's called Superstore.
Superstore.
Now it's an older show. It started in 2015, but it does go, I think, 5 or 6 seasons. But I wanted to try to find, I said, all right, I need a little help because I don't know what if stuff is too violent or too sexual. So I found actually a website that's been kind of helpful for me to find shows with Clark where it's not too corny, where I'm watching cartoon shows with him because he's 13 now. So it's called commonsensemedia.org.
Okay.
And it's where they get reviews from parents and from teenagers. And generally they're pretty close. So I found this thing called Superstore. It's a workplace comedy. It's based in a big box store, like say a BJ's or, Costco. And so it's an ensemble cast led by America Ferrara. Fantastic.
Right.
Also in it is Nico Santos, which you might remember from Crazy Rich Asians.
Sure.
He's the kind of crazy, Clark and I decided last night, he's our favorite. I have been watching shows kind of with Clark now for about 2 years. I have never heard him laugh louder. So it's, and we both do. I mean, we love this show so much, we're pausing it to laugh. Now I will say there are some sexual, like, innuendo, no nudity, no sex that you could say. No. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, if you're watching it with your teenagers, there's some stuff where Clark's like, I don't want to do this. I don't do this. But 90% of it is just workplace humor. And Ange, based off of where we work, some of the crazy stuff that happens, like I kind of related to it, but this is on a grander scale because there's a hardcore cast of, I want to say, about 7 or 8 people. And absolutely, you watch it with, I would say the cutoff would be 13, though. I wouldn't go any younger than 13.
All right, here's what I need to know. Is that a network show? And is it?
It was, yeah. Oh, so yeah. So it was a network show. I think it started out maybe on NBC. We found it on Hulu. So we're watching it on Hulu. And it is with ads, but that's why Hulu isn't as expensive. And the ads are a minute and a half. They literally take, but my son, who has grown up without ads, you would think it's 3 days in between. And Angelo, you'll love this though. He goes, I hate commercials. And I said, Clark Hughes Cone, commercials are good. And let me explain that to you. This is why you have a home. Okay.
Right.
So, but the commercials are only 90 seconds.
I'm a network TV snob now. If I know something is on network TV, I tend not to want to watch it.
I agree with you.
There's so much garbage on it.
Yeah.
All these CSI shows and all that stuff. that if somebody like Abbott Elementary, it's a good show.
Phenomenal.
But
I love
don't
it.
love
Yeah.
it. I think the reason I don't love it is I developed a bias against network shows because they're all cookie cutter and they're aimed at a base that isn't my taste.
Superstore, Angelo.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: is you love awkward humor, like
Yep.
Curb Your Enthusiasm. So Curb Your Enthusiasm, I think, doesn't work for me because he's an older man. I don't mean this in a bad way with the awkward humor. I should be used to it.
Right.
And there's so much awkward humor in it. Clark
I
loves
love
awkward humor.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, watch. We're already on season 2.
Yeah.
Watch it, and I guarantee you, you will be laughing your ass off.
I gotta say, I don't like Superstore. Not for
Oh,
no.
really?
I like the show.
Yeah.
But I don't like the attachments that I have to the show because when I'm on the cruises, when I perform on a cruise, like the cruises will buy like 4 or 5 TV shows that they just run on a loop. And it's
that's
like
it?
that Young Sheldon, American Housewife, and Superstore. And whenever I watch Superstore, I'm just picturing myself trapped in a cabin in Alaska, just trying to decide if I should jump off the boat so my kids can get the insurance money. So that's where I'm at. But like that brings up shows that you didn't catch the first time around that you wound up being fans of. Angelo, do you have a show that you didn't watch when it was new that you're loving now?
Well, I'm kind of heartbroken that you still haven't gotten us on video because I wore a T-shirt. Your viewing pleasure. It says It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia Sports, and that show I am totally late to the party on. You informed me just beforehand that it's the longest running live action sitcom in the history of television.
It's amazing, isn't it?
15 seasons.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
I can't say binging it. You can't watch 8 or 9 in a row. They're only 20 minutes or so.
Right.
But you can't watch that many in a row because it's so over the top. It's ridiculous. But I got through 6, and the last episode of the 6th season is the single most outrageous 40 minutes. It was a double episode I've ever seen in my life. Jay, you're a big fan of the show. I
love it.
Discovered it recently. It's a Christmas show, Rhea. And in one scene, Charlie Day, who is really great in the show overall, bites the jugular vein of Santa Claus.
What?
Slap, and blood flies everywhere, including around children.
I'm already out. I'm out.
No, you're not out. You're in.
It's so good. It's so good, Rhea.
It's so absurd. It has Jay. What I'm learning is that it goes further and further over the top, season by season.
Yes.
And Rob McElhenney gained 60 pounds between the 6th and 7th season because he thought he would be funnier if he were fat.
Yeah, it's just as a joke. It's hilarious. And then later on, he gets himself sculpted. Like he goes the other direction. It's hilarious. And I will say the one thing that I really love about it, just on a meta level, is that Danny DeVito has become a hero to the under 30 set. They love Danny DeVito, and they're just wondering, all because of It's Always Sunny.
Well, here's the thing with DeVito. All right, I loved him in Taxi.
Oh,
right?
great. Yeah.
And this is that character times 5.
Yes.
Wow.
This guy is all he wants to date is prostitutes. He's the lowest of low lives.
I gotta watch this today.
Yeah, you gotta watch it. It's great.
This stuff is beyond cartoon. But I got to admit, in short doses, 3 or 4 episodes, maybe at a time, it's hilarious. It's great.
You tend to love the characters.
Rhea, make a note. Rob McElhenney, we got to get him on the show before it's over, so I can apologize to him that we have been on the air the whole time they've been on the air, and I never gave them any acclaim. They deserved it. We never did it. I missed it.
Do you know who he's tight with?
Oh,
Chase Utley.
No. Well, he's in one of the episodes.
Yeah, he's super tight with him. Yep, very tight.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow, it's great. Watch it. You'll enjoy it.
Love it. And the show that I would recommend.
It's on Hulu. It's on Hulu.
Hulu. Oh, great. We got to remember to do that. Hulu. The show that I'm watching is on Netflix. It's called Never Have I Ever.
Oh my God.
You love that show?
Love it. Go ahead. Go. I don't want to interrupt you.
So good. No. It's by Mindy Kaling, who you might remember as one of the girls on The Office who dated BJ Novak's character. And she was also had the Mindy Project. This was her show for Netflix. She writes it and produces it. And if you like that kind of humor, it's very smart. It's very Tina Fey like. It's very fast.
Yeah,
It's very like The Office. It's smart. And Angelo, it's narrated for no good reason by John McEnroe.
By John McEnroe?
Yes.
Yes. It's about a 15-year-old.
Really?
It's about a 15-year-old Indian girl narrated by John McEnroe for no reason that I can see. And it's just hilarious because he'll constantly do things like, oh man, she's feeling real nervous. Just like when I went up against Jimmy Connors.
Yes.
Really?
And the first time I heard him, I go, that's John McEnroe. I'm like, it is so bizarre. I mean, and he narrates like crazy scenes. Yeah, and it is absolutely phenomenal. And you'll get to it because she's a 15-year-old who has decided to go into, Jay, what is it, her sophomore year at high school?
Sophomore, I believe, yes.
Sophomore year at high school, determined to not be a nerd and to not be a virgin anymore and to bag the hottest guy in school.
Time out.
Yes.
So you're saying that I was a nerd and I was a virgin. Am I hearing that clearly?
Yeah.
I'm assuming.
Thanks a lot. That is so charming, Rhea. I'm glad we go back so far.
But Jay, it is so smartly written. I mean, there are everybody. I don't really recognize any of the cast members.
No, but they're all
it's
great.
Brilliant. And I will say this: I thought about letting Clark watch it, but I think he's a year away. I think when he goes into high school. It's got a little bit of it. Yeah.
But I will say this. I think it came out right prior to the pandemic. It's in its third season. Third season just dropped on Netflix. They said they're only going to do one more. They're going to end the story after 4. So you can catch up on all 3 seasons. And it's bingeable. This is a bingeable one because it's telling a long story over the course of these 30-minute episodes. And it's great. All right. So now we got it. Angelo, you have a heart out. So let's talk about your show this week. Whatever you want. What do you got that you want to talk about?
I discovered it by accident because I was wrapping up The Offer. And by the way, The Offer is a 10-episode series that I recommended that I got a lot of positive feedback on.
Oh, good.
People who had not seen it and checked it out loved it. It is phenomenal. Niles Teller is great. The 10th episode is not great. They milked it. They really had 9 episodes. It's kind of after the fact. It's not as good, but it's still a great series.
It's a great series, but they also tried to make like producing The Longest Yard was just as good as producing Godfather 2. And it's like, it isn't out.
They didn't have enough story for the 10th episode. You're right. But let me give you so I'm on Paramount Plus. And again, Rhea's probably right. This will really appeal to old guys like me. It's a movie that was designed for television called Jerry and Marge Go Large. It stars Bryan Cranston and Annette Bening, and it's based on a real story about a guy who was a math whiz, and he got fired from his job late in life, and he started to follow the lottery, and he found a wrinkle in the lottery that gave him an advantage, but he had to purchase thousands and thousands of lottery tickets. And he ended up developing a company of his people that lived in his little town. And they all kicked their money in and they made a fortune.
Was this in New Hampshire, Ange?
It was
or somewhere in New England?
It was here or around this area, but then they canceled. It was called the Windfall Lottery. And they
did it in 60 minutes, did a whole piece on it.
They kept it going in Massachusetts. So these people had to drive 10 hours to Massachusetts in order to get to buy the tickets. They ended up making $27 million.
That's amazing.
Totally legal. But the story, Bryan Cranston is great in it. Annette Bening is phenomenal in it. They end up getting hooked up with these Harvard kids who figured it out after they did. And they have a feud with the Harvard people. It's a great movie. It's not even 2 hours. You will love it. It's really.
And what's it called again, Angelo?
What's that?
What's it called again?
It's called Jerry and Marge Go Large.
Jerry and Marge Go Large.
Also on Paramount Plus.
Paramount Plus. I feel like Paramount Plus should sponsor this show. We've been giving them a lot of.
It's all because of The Offer. I haven't seen much on it, but since we started the podcast, that's pretty much all I've been watching.
Yeah, the offer, and I guess they're going to get Maverick soon. So I know you're not a
Yes.
huge fan of the. Or did you see that in theaters?
I did
Angelo?
not, but I'm a big fan of Miles Teller.
Miles Teller. He's
well, there you go.
fantastic. Yep. All right. So the Jerry and Marge go large. I generally don't trust things that rhyme, but I'm going to trust this. So let's check it out. And I just want to wrap up the show by talking about something that has been frustrating me a lot as a cord cutter, and it's something that drives me nuts that all of the different streaming services do. That there's no great unifying app for streaming services,
Yeah.
and I don't understand why they won't do this. That if I log on to Apple TV or Roku and I search for something, it should search all of
it.
streaming services. And if they don't have it, I mean, show me where to buy it or show me which streaming service has it so that I can get it. I don't understand why they don't do this. And I know who the holdout is. I know who the problem is in this. It's Netflix.
Yeah.
Netflix refuses to share any of its data.
Yep.
The smaller ones are willing to do it. Paramount Plus is willing to do it. Hulu's willing to do it. It's Netflix that's the big holdout. It's the one thing that, as a cord cutter, when you go on cable, you search for what you're looking for. It searches all of cable and it tells you. And if it doesn't have it, it says here, you can do it via pay-per-view if you want it.
Yeah.
It needs to be done. And I don't understand how we're 10 years into the streaming world and no one has done this yet. It drives me up a wall.
That's a great point. Honestly, I'm always wondering. I never can. My wife and I, we have certain things we watch together. I never know which network it's on. I never sure which one. We have pretty much all of them.
Right.
But I would love to just have access to say, all right, I want to see The Patient. Where is it? And then
Okay, I'm going to talk to you two. Jay, I think you're around my age, but I'm going to tell you there's a very, very simple way to do it because I do it every day. I grab my phone and I Google the show. And immediately right there, it tells you watch options.
Google it.
Right.
It tells you exactly where, like today, I wanted to make sure I had it right. And I said Superstore and it goes, what? Hulu, Code of a Killer, right there, watch options. There's actually a couple of watch options. So maybe go on for Code of a Killer and see maybe some of them you can get for free. But Prime was on there, but there were a couple other ones. But you Google a show name and it gives you watch options. I
get that, but I just think the networks are shooting themselves in the foot. Anytime you have to go do a second step, 90% of the people are like, I'm out. I can't do a second step. Make it a single step process where I just look at my TV and go, hey, what's on? And it shows me what's on all my different streaming services. It's not that hard to do. They're capable of doing it. I just don't get why they haven't been able to do it yet.
Rhea, what's this thing, Google? I had never heard
It's going to be big. I don't think it's going anywhere.
I believe it's a porn aggregator. That's what I've always used it for. I don't know what else it's used for.
Stop using it for porn, guys, and look up your shows.
All right, guys, look, we hit a half hour exactly. That was our goal. I'm very proud of us. I think we should all, if we don't move to the 160s in Canada, I don't know what we're doing because this was a great show. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jay.
You got it, Jay.
All right. Stop recording.